this to be, you know, a night that everyone learns as much as they can about this issue, and that some light is brought to this issue, and also that we can just sort of be together and express things and hear good music and see beautiful art. And so this is called the Cause for Affection. This fundraiser, for anyone who's just here as a regular, not necessarily here for the fundraiser as well, this is for the Pansy Hospital, which is located in Bukavu in the Congo, in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So here's a map of the DRC. As you can see, it's actually surrounded by 10 other countries. It's kind of closed in. There's a couple waterways on either side. The Congo has a ton of natural resources, some things like zinc, copper, diamonds, and one thing we'll learn about later is coltan. Really huge. So, in 1965, this is just sort of a backstory. Mobutu came to power and took power over the Congo and ended up leading it for 32 years and led what is now known as a kleptocracy. The Congo received tons of aid, tons of foreign international aid, and a lot of it was actually loans. And it's basically said that he essentially stole all this money and put it into his bank account. So he lived for 32 years and basically devastated the Congo. They had no real basic safety measures or things like that. After the Rwandan genocide, which you probably remember, in 1994, a lot of the troops that were in Rwanda, which is a bordering country of the Congo, a lot of the troops actually were allowed entrance into the Congo by Mobutu. And after about 3 years, around 1997, they just decided that they wanted to take over the Congo. So Uganda and Rwanda actually backed one of these rebel leaders, and they helped them to take over and oust Mobutu out of the government. So 1998, next year, Mobutu's out of the government. This guy's leading, Lawrence Kabila, I think, or Desiree Kabila. Rwanda and Uganda backed out and decided that no, they didn't want to be with this leader. They were actually going to invade the Congo. So then we had Zimbabwe, Angola, Namibia. There was a total of 7 armies that had come into the Congo and started what is now known as Africa's First World War. Between 5 to 6 million deaths have been recorded, and those are recorded deaths.
Let's go.
All right. So this war basically just devastated the Congo. It totally tore apart communities. As I said, there were 7 separate armies that were involved in this, and it's called Africa's First World War because of it's the highest death count since World War II. Anyway, despite this peace agreement that was signed in 2002, the war continued to go on in the eastern part of the Congo. MONUC, which is the missions. Missions. It's a French acronym. It's a UN organization, UN missions group that goes. It's directed precisely at the Congo. They were sort of meant to help to stabilize the political situation. In 2006, the Congo had their first democratically elected president in 40 years, and his name is Joseph Kabila. The conflict, which originally started as something between rebel fighters and leaders over control over the country, eventually turned into what it is now, which is an absolute just battle over resources. And the major resource that is fought over for control is coltan, which is something that you find in your cell phones, in your computer chips, in gaming systems. Everyone uses this product. Sexual violence, which is the reason that we're sort of holding this event, and which is why the Pansy Hospital exists. Sexual violence became a widespread tactic that is used as a weapon of war. The violence is used against the women and absolutely destroys communities. As it says here, it displaces, controls, and traumatizes entire communities, families, relationships. Everything is broken apart, and the entire community is displaced. The Congo's vast resources have never benefited its people. The money often goes to support the armies, funding the weapons used, funding the government. Natural resources, especially minerals, are financing armed groups that commit sexual violence in the eastern Congo. In January 2008, which was last January, President Kabila and the rebel militias in the east signed a ceasefire. The ceasefire, of course, it doesn't just end if you say, okay, I have a ceasefire. You still have armies of people that have been trained to kill without any question. It was hailed as a diplomatic success, but with little follow-through. Conflict has continued, and civilians are the ones who continue to suffer. International efforts on the Congo remain ad hoc, unfocused, and do not address the root causes of the conflict.
Sexual violence is used as an effective tactic used by armed groups to subjugate and humiliate populations that they seek to control. The violence against women, these are the root causes of this problem. The weakness of the Congolese state, of course, the government does not seem to have a lot of control. There's state impunity, cultural impunity. Basically, there's no punishment for these things. Women have no say in the things that are happening to them. This is a quote from Eve Ensor, it's her foundation that provided this presentation. Nothing that I ever experienced felt as ghastly, terrifying, and complete as the sexual torture and attempted destruction of the female species here. The violence is a threat to all young girls and village elders. It is not too strong to call this a femicide. Approximately 3,500 reported incidents of rape in North and South Kivu in the first 6 months of 2008. This is recent, this is last year. 50% of these survivors were under the age of 18. Doctors Without Borders has before. 75% of all the rape that they deal with is in the Congo, and they are all over the world. They are across the globe. This is actually a photo of women who are at the Pansy hospital that are waiting for surgery. One of the main surgeries that they have to do is something to repair something called fistula, which is what happens to women as a result of these tortures. This is something that you often see in African images. You often see these women you see these horrible images and despair, and often you see a lot of AIDS and pain, and alongside that you see these images of people who are resilient and beautiful and shining. And this photo just says, despite the horrible atrocities that women are suffering, they are remarkably resilient. These are just women dancing at the Pansy hospital.
Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has.
As always, we go back to Africa for our inspiration. This is a dare to remember the pandemic, a dare to remember your humanity, a dare to remember your compassion, a dare to remember your solidarity. That's why we are here. Thank you so much, and I appreciate so much your contribution to the foundation tonight.